What is Craig's plan to save the arms force? What happened at Pinnacle Point? Who really controls the Purple Destroyers? I called it Toy Battlegrounds. It's basically Toy Story and Helldivers mixed into one. The toy soldiers, known as the Arms Force, fight to protect freedom and liberty. The Purple Destroyers, robots that serve a secret master and swear to destroy the arms. And finally, the action figures, sworn enemies of the arms. The story begins in Andy's bedroom, where three opposing forces hold their own cities: Arm City, Highguard Heights, and Pinnacle Point. Locations like Pirates Horizon or Tomato Territory are both little nods to locations I've made in my comics, and it's cool to see where my inspiration comes from. Anyway, the island was at peace until the Purple Destroyers decided, you know what, I need freedom, let's conquer everything. This is when the Arms Force found out about the Purple Destroyers' plans, so they stood against them and devised a plan to ensure that liberty would stay free. This obviously meant conquering the island as well, but instead, for free.
We need to build a wall.
And this is where their main character is introduced, none other than Drift himself. Yes, from the comics I made as a kid. He's a classic, man. Drift is a hotshot anti-hero who wants nothing but freedom. There's also Durburger, Aerial Assault Trooper, Bright Bomber, Sergeant Peels, Tomato Head, Project 11, Steve from Minecraft,
Second,
and President Craig. Craig is the president of the Arms Force and calls all the shots for every operation. Drift, Durburger, Tomato Head, and Sergeant Peels are on a covert operation to bring liberty back to the island. They were told by President Craig to liberate the unknown parts of the Purple Destroyers' land and find the leader of the destroyers. It was a very risky decision, but they needed to get any intel about a Pinnacle Point city. The mission was named Operation Freedom, so the squad moves past the border and into enemy territory. Mapping out an area that also belongs to the action figures, they found Summer Suburbs, a neighborhood of 0 people, eerie place. But investigating this town wasn't their mission. It was a mission for Sergeant Project 11. Receiving intel from Drift, P11 and his squad moved into the suburbs. They had reason to suspect that the town was holding information about a secret weapon. All was well until they found that no one was living in the area. It had a nostalgic and liminal feeling. But when they entered the government building, they were ambushed. The action figures had set up this town as a trap. During the shootout, Steve was shot and eliminated. Well, that didn't last very long. Project 11 and his team did all they could but were outmatched and had to flee. But they wouldn't be out of action for long, because President Craig is issuing a campaign in Pinnacle Point. It's a massive city with large Imperial wars around it. No way in without getting caught. So President Craig said, you know what? Let's go and guns a-blazing. Now you can see why I didn't want to show this. It's basically a complete copy of Cyberstan from Helldivers.
Load of democracy!
They sent in hundreds of bomber planes into enemy lines, hitting the city when they needed to the most. After the bombings, the squad would make their way into the base, along with the rest of the armed soldiers. The campaign to take Destroyer's main city begins. The full force of the Arms Force breaks through the city. They've destroyed critical infrastructure, bombed to the ground. Drift's squad, along with the rest of the Project 11 squad, infiltrate the main sanctuary building. Drift finds the computer room, where they keep a supercomputer, intelligent AI. They try and shut down the mainframe, but the AI wakes and talks to Drift. He tries to convince him that it was made to serve humanity rather than ending it for the destroyers. But Drift ignores him and sides with the arms. Instead of coming to a negotiation, the AI searches through all the Arms Force secret documents hidden in the cloud and sends them to the action figures. A leak that could have been prevented, man. The action figures now know every plan the armed CIA has planned. As well as that, the covert destroyer base put their DR-1 destroyer robots into action. And they absolutely obliterated the Arms Force soldiers. Little by little, they started losing the battle. The AI costed the arms a successful campaign. In the end, the destroyers kept Pinnacle Point. The arms had lost. After the failed attempt of taking Pinnacle Point, the destroyers prepared to get back at the Arms Force in a campaign of their own, Operation Destroy. The person commanding the mission was Commander Foundation. sending the fleet of D1 destroyer robots towards Arms Air Base. Commander Foundation is a destroyer who believes that humans are only temporary and are a short-term species, while the purple destroyer androids can live forever. The fleet was moving towards Arms City, and there was nothing the soldiers could do to stop it. They had lost over 410,000 soldiers from the campaign, so they fled from Arms Air Base, watching as the destroyers walked on the tarmac. Craig had to make the hardest choice he's ever made. He needed to threaten the destroyers. He communicated to the Foundation that if they advanced through Arms Air Base, the full force of the arms will be unleashed upon them. But eventually, the day of war came. The D1s advanced past the airbase, and every soldier above in Arms City fired what they could at the destroyer army. The purple destroyers set up trenches where Arms Airbase used to be. They used wood taken from train yard trucks to build the base for the trenches. Our heroes Drift, Project 11, Durburger, and Tomato Head all are briefed by President Craig on how their new mission is going to play out. The armed force is under heavy fire from the purple destroyers and the action figures. They need to fight back. Thankfully, they have a solution. The armed CIA has a keycard that can arm a weapon. This weapon is top secret, but it is lethal to destroyers. The only problem is that the weapon is under destroyer trenches. Our heroes brushed the danger off and were sent into battle. Soldiers from Arms City advanced to the ground, finally pushing back the destroyers. But now there's a problem. The destroyers now know they're coming for the airbase. Meanwhile, the leader of the action figures is issuing a full-on war against the armed force. G.R. Hogan creates an elite platoon named the Masters of Power, setting out to attack the armed forces' defenseless locations. They take Tomato Territory, Durburgerville, Pirates Horizon, Diamond Depot, and Warning Woods, leaving no one alive at each location, now intending to invade Arms City with the rest of their comrades. Come on. How could it be so stupid? Damn it!